Hey everyone, Peace Eye here. Today we're going to be continuing the Banshee, Part 7. We'll pick up where we left off. The next thing I knew, I was lying in my bed, caught in a terrible sweat. Had it really happened? I could not say, but I knew that the woman was real, and I was still in my apartment in Brazil. The memory or dream stood burning like a fire in my mind. I rose and looked out the wide window. The day was overcast and raining. Clouds as far as I could see. That day was spent indoors, as the weather would not allow me to leave. Somehow being close to the stairs was the worst thing for me, and I found myself dreading having to climb up to my apartment alone. After too much schoolwork and many card games with my niece, Josiah returned from the university and preparations began for dinner. We were short one ingredient, and I volunteered to go down to the bakery and fetch it. Some fresh air would do me some good, I reasoned. I put on a poncho and descended the wet, slippery steps to the street below. The walk was a brisk one, and the wind was howling the entire way to the end of the street. It seemed like an ill omen, as if I could not escape the woman's howling, even now during the day. The rain followed me wherever I went, and despite my poncho, I found myself soaked from head to foot by the time I stepped into the bakery. Using my basic understanding of Portuguese, I was able to conduct a transaction for some additional flour, and as I was about to walk out the door, who should I run into but Wagner from the other day before. He seemed glad to see me, and though I didn't want to stay and talk, I indulged the poor chap for a moment, mostly as a favor for my rescue the other day. He invited me to come with him to his place for dinner. I politely refused. Some other time, perhaps, I suggested. It seems he didn't like my refusal of his invitation. I'm not familiar with the customs of Brazil. It may have offended his honor and broke some sort of cultural custom, but I did not trust the man, and I would not risk offending one villager for the exchange of my own safety. I quickly walked home, and this time, on the stairs, I did not look back. The evening seemed to pass too quickly. Dinner ended, conversations began, but once again I found myself distracted. All I could think about was the woman. What if she was a banshee? I wondered, was she trying to warn me? Was someone going to die? I suddenly began to feel very ill, and paranoia set in. Who could it be? My brother? His wife? Myself? I returned to my apartment, and no sooner had I entered than I heard the woman on the stairs, howling and wailing. I stepped back out to watch. I wanted to see her. There she was on the stairs below, howling and sobbing, making her way towards me. I stepped back inside. The rain was still pounding down, and I wondered at how she was able to stay brave the elements. That's how it was said there. I stayed in the doorway for what seemed like an eternity. The sobbing had stopped, I realized. She was gone? Had I missed her? Perhaps she turned back because of the weather? I opened the door to see what had become of her, only to find her standing right before me. She looked into my eyes and emitted the most terrible shriek I'd ever heard. I felt like my bones had turned to glass and were about to shatter into 1,000 pieces. All right, we'll continue this tomorrow. Bye!